Am I the asshole for reacting negatively when my husband handed me my birthday gift? My female 25 birthday was 2 days ago. I was excited to see what my husband male 33 got me. I got him an expensive belt for his birthday 10 months ago and he didn't like it, although it was on his wish list for so long. He said he just preferred to receive an iPhone or Xbox. On my birthday, we had a celebration with my family, and after they left, I asked my husband if he got any gifts. He asked me to follow him to the bedroom and I did. He opened the bottom closet where he keeps the stuff he doesn't use but doesn't want to get rid of and pulled out the belt. It was the one I had got him for his birthday. I was stunned. His face had no expression and he handed it to me. He said he's been keeping this for months and decided to give it to me on my birthday since he couldn't get anything else and since he had no use for it. I tried to process what he just did and ended up blowing up at him asking if he was joking with me. He remained calm as I questioned how he could have thought gifting me the item I bought for him, which was a belt, would be a good idea. I called him disrespectful and said that his gift was thoughtless and that he was being rude and dismissive of my feelings and my birthday. He said a gift is a gift and I shouldn't have reacted negatively, then complained when he does the same since he never wanted that belt but couldn't throw it away. He figured it was best to give it back to me and I get to do whatever I want with it since he didn't want it. We had a huge fight and he stormed outside.
Am I the a-hole for switching to regular milk to prove my lactose intolerant roommate keeps stealing from me? Me and two other guys share an apartment and we all split the bills. The only thing we don't split costs on is groceries. And we don't touch whatever doesn't belong to us in the fridge. We put our names on everything so no one gets mixed up. This issue has been going on for almost a year and I'm sick of it. One of my roommates, R, keeps stealing my food. I get home from work and containers with my leftovers are sometimes missing. They have names written on it, like everything else they have. My gallon of milk, for example, I buy almond milk because I like the taste, me too, but it seems to finish after a week even though I've only drank one or twice. I confronted R about this lots of times and that's caused lots of arguments. He outright denies it and tell me I'm crazy even though it is so obvious. So last week my milk was nearly empty again and I got fed up. I went to the liquor store and bought regular dairy milk. I drank what was left of my almond milk and refilled the gallon with the one I bought.
All right,
this was to catch/prove R is the one stealing since he is lactose intolerant. The next day, Saturday, we get back from work and R is pissed. He is yelling at me that he was stuck in the bathroom for 40 minutes with explosive diarrhea because of my milk that he was using to make a shake. I only responded with, "So, then you're the one who's been stealing." He freaking exploded. Yeah, he admitted he was sometimes drinking my milk and eating my food, but he was more mad that I switched the milks than the fact that he was caught. My roommate backed me up, you know, as he should, and he thought it was kind of funny that he got some payback from stealing from us, which I agree, it's hilarious. It's a little tense right now, and my roommate told me that R is trying to convince him to kick me out, but little does he know that we're both looking to move together somewhere else because we're sick of his ish. I told some buddies what happened, and if you think I was the a-hole for that, I feel like I'm not in the wrong here. He was taking my food and not even owning up to it, and I wanted to prove it. Does that make me the a-hole?
Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to start wearing adult diapers? Is she into that type of thing? I'm a 26-year-old male, and my girlfriend, a 23-year-old female of 3 years, has shown some changes in her bodily function. At least once a week, she wets the bed. It all started a few months ago. I used to wake up in the middle of the night, help her clean herself up, strip the bed, and lay down towels to absorb what was left, but I don't anymore. Because it started happening more and more frequently. Well, this fine morning, I wake up 2 hours before I need to the warm, wet embrace that is her wetting the bed in her sleep again. I scoot closer to the edge of the bed on my side and I wake her up. Let her know that she just wet the bed again and roll over to go back to sleep. She notices and starts scooting over towards me. I told her no, she needs to stay on her side of the bed. She got upset that I wanted her to stay in her urine and got up. Went to the restroom, came back about 10 minutes later and threw a towel over it and got back in bed. So now today, I finally sat her down and told her I believe it's due to her alcohol consumption right before bed, but she refused to give up the bottle. She said this should be a judgment-free zone, and if she wants to drink in her own home at night, she should be allowed to. I told her drinking is fine, but to lower the amount. I wasn't trying to ban her from alcohol, but this phrasing now makes me think I should, like she might have a slight addiction. Anyways, after that, I suggested that we get her bed pads for her to lay on at night, or adult diapers for her to wear to bed, or maybe even do both. She's a heavy wetter. She wouldn't have to wear them during the day, obviously, just going to bed at night. She said that it's too embarrassing to even be asked to wear them and that it's out of the question and stormed out of the room. I can tell she's upset with me over it all, but I'm tired of waking up covered in pee. I'm upset too when it feels like she's not trying to do anything to fix her bladder problems. So am I the a-hole? My stepdaughter is a 15-year-old female named Jane who has a burn scar around her neck that covers one side of her face. The scar came from an accident that took place 4 years ago, and yes, she's already gotten tons of insensitive comments, but to me and her dad, she's still the most beautiful person we've ever met. My family's been supportive and loving towards Jane. My sister and her now husband got married a few days ago. They told me and my husband that they decided the wedding would be child-free, meaning Jane couldn't come. They asked if that'd be okay, and we said, yeah, absolutely. We respect the bride and groom's rules. I immediately arranged for Jane to stay with a friend that she calls auntie, though Jane wanted to attend the wedding badly, but I explained this was a rule for everyone and that we should respect that. My husband and I go to the venue, and the first thing we noticed there was kids of all ages, all around the venue. My husband literally stopped walking. He paused for a few seconds, looked at me, then let go of my hand and said he was out of there. He walked out, but I stood still when my mom saw me and signaled me to come join the family, but I didn't go. I asked one of the guests who had his kids with him, and he said this event allowed kids. I was seeing red at this point because I was fooled into leaving Jane at home and coming with my husband only. I ignored mom and went straight to where my sister and her husband were standing. Then I blew up at them asking why they lied about this being a child-free wedding when it wasn't. I asked them in front of everyone why they decided to basically lie to me and my husband and get us to exclude our daughter. Why? Is Jane somehow different from the other kids who showed up? My sister tried to calm me down, but I bluntly asked if it was because her stepniece has a burn scar / visible injury that she and her husband were too ashamed of. I literally heard guests saying, oh, my mom tried to get me to step off the stage, but I proceeded to call my sister and her husband awful, insensitive people with no respect for me nor their niece. My sister started crying, saying she would never, and that I misunderstood, and that my brother-in-law begged me to go sit, but I refused and said I wasn't interested in celebrating / supporting their marriage after this. I walked out and was followed by my mom and aunt lashing out, saying I went way out of line and was disrespectful of the bride, who's my sister for God's sake, and ruined her wedding by saying that in front of everyone. My mom said it was my brother-in-law's idea, and I have the right to be mad, but I should have confronted her later, not in front of guests and ruining the event. I said I should have spoken to her privately or left instead of making a scene. Am I the a-hole?
Am I the asshole for laughing at my mom and telling her it's not my fault she's broke? My girlfriend's brother owns a small cafe and bakery. It's a relatively new place, but I recommend it to everyone that wants to go. It's worth mentioning that my girlfriend and her brother are very close, and my mom knows this. This past weekend, my mom was in town and decided to visit the cafe with a few of her friends. Around 12, while my girlfriend is at work, I get a distressed, angry call from my mom demanding to speak to my girlfriend. I'm confused and could tell that she was crying, so I tried to calm her down a little before I tried to piece together what happened. She said the staff treated her terribly and my girlfriend's brother embarrassed her in front of her friends. I asked her to elaborate, and she explains that she didn't bring money to pay because she thought it'd be free since she's a friend of the owner. Because she didn't have any money, she was forced to ask one of her friends to pay the bill. To be fair, I found this a little funny and absurd, so I laughed. Looking back, I probably shouldn't have done this because it really upset her. She proceeded to call my girlfriend a terrible person who was never going to be part of the family. I got mad and told my mom that it's not my fault she's broke, and then she hung up. I thought it was fine, but then I found out that my mom left a pretty bad review on the cafe's website, harassed the cafe, and left my girlfriend a string of badly written text messages. I feel really bad because I don't want my girlfriend or her brother to suffer because of my actions.
Today I fucked up by shredding my butthole. To start with some context, I've been having a few stomach aches in the past few days, but today was exceptionally vivid. I had to relieve myself, so I went to the bathroom. A perfectly sensible and logical solution.
Lots of farts indicate lots of poops.
Yeah, farts push the poop out. Don't think so? Okay. I sat down and I instantly knew that I might not get out of this alive. One of my fears since I was a kid was a situation where I could no longer physically poop. Today was that nightmare. I steadily began pushing, carefully analyzing the feces' size. Lo and behold, I felt my anus stretch in ways that shouldn't be possible. I feared for my butt, and in panic, I immediately started pushing with all my might. The rectal elastic expanded in an orchestra of pain and suffering, the violins grating my anus lips, and the oboes chanting my misery. My legs were shaking, my soul quavering, my will defeated. The pain did not stop and rather transformed into a throbbing, burning sensation. Something did not go according to plan. I am now afraid to go poop again and await the moment with anxiety.
Am I the asshole for ruining my brother's wedding? My 20 female brother Nate, 28 male, is going to get married to his fiancée Emily, 32 female, in a week. I was extremely close to my brother growing up. He's my favorite out of all of my siblings. However, when he started dating Emily, we grew apart but still talk often. On the other hand, me and Emily don't get along at all. We just don't see eye to eye on things. They're having a child-free wedding, but in Emily's eyes, a child is anyone under 21 years old. I know, dumb rule. Originally, I wasn't allowed to be there for the reception or ceremony, but I told Nate how much it would hurt me not to be there, so he convinced Emily. At family dinner this week, Emily brought up that she would like to have a daycare service. She said she would love me and my boyfriend to look over the kids. We love kids and we're actually studying to become a teacher and pediatrician. We were on board with it until we found out that we were watching 40 kids for 6 hours and only getting paid $50 each. We requested $150, but Emily said no. Nate said he told her we'd be happy to and that it's too late to find a different sitter. The more I refused, the angrier Emily got. She said I was being a greedy, selfish brat and that I should be paying her. She said if I don't do this, I'll ruin her wedding and won't be welcome to the ceremony. At this point, the dinner's ruined, my boyfriend's uncomfortable, I'm pissed, and the entire restaurant is staring at our table. I honestly don't care about babysitting and would do it for free. I'm just sick of Emily being rude to me.
I lied about my boobs being natural. My boyfriend found out, and he's now disappointed in me. I've always been insecure because of my breast size. When I landed my first job, I started to save money to get breast implants, and after 2 years, I finally got them. My boyfriend, Luke 35, was an old friend of mine. We used to play together when we were little before our family relocated. I met him 2 years ago when we became friendly again, and a month later when we started dating. I've had boyfriends before, but Luke is different. He always makes me feel special. He treats me well and always compliments me. He said he's so happy that we met again, and he's so proud to have a, quote, smart and beautiful girlfriend. I never told Luke I had breast augmentation, as I thought it's not important. When the pandemic hit, he and I decided to move in together. We haven't had sex yet, so it made moving in together. To make the long story short, on our first night, Luke found out that my breasts aren't natural. His facial expression changed, and he asked me why I didn't tell him that, quote, those are fake. I said I didn't think he would care, and that fake or real doesn't change anything. He said I made an idiot out of him by not correcting him whenever he compliments my natural beauty. He said it's not even about the boobs, but it's the fact that I deliberately lied to him by not telling him everything. We had a fight that night. He ended up sleeping on the couch. We did make up after I apologized to him for not telling him about my implants, but things aren't the same anymore. He doesn't compliment me anymore, and whenever we have sex, he doesn't seem to enjoy my breasts like a normal sexual partner would. I love Luke, and I want our relationship to work, but the way he treats me now, I think it's better for us to just break up.
I met Asel for talking disrespectfully to a teacher. I went to a very conservative school as someone who is part of the LGBTQ plus community. One of my teacher, who is a pastor, let's call him G is a very conservative man in his early 60s. One topic he taught a lot about was the LGBTQ plus people. He was very homophobic. For a while, I tried to be respectful, but after a while, these conversations got too much for me, and this went on for way too long. One day, I got fed up and started debating with him again. I've cried multiple times in front of him in this class. He doesn't care. So I got into another debate, and I started out very respectfully until it got way too much. He kept interrupting me, and I was so frustrated I finally told him, I wasn't finished talking, please don't interrupt me, let me finish. I really don't think that was disrespectful. So, am I the asshole for that?
Am I the asshole for refusing to drop charges against a 16-year-old? My brother, 17 male, lives with me, 25 female, and my husband, 26 male, since both our parents passed away in an accident last February. He's a great kid, but losing our parents made him quiet and a sad young boy. I've tried to encourage him to attend therapy so he can work on his grief, but he has refused every single time, telling me that he's not ready yet. I get it, everyone works at their own pace, and as long as he's not deliberately hurting himself, I won't pressure him. I try to be as involved in his life as I can be without it being overwhelming. We do movie nights, enjoy TV shows, and he even helps my husband with his old car. Before our parents' passing, my brother had a girlfriend 16, and after the funeral, he decided to break up with her. Totally valid. She didn't take it good and was sure that my brother only needed some love to heal. Last month, she began to drop letters and gifts to our door, and my brother refused to open them every time. She used to message and call him too, and I could see the distress on my brother's face. The last thing happened last Friday. It was my brother's birthday, and my husband and I decided to take him out. We got back, he went to his room, and as soon as he did, he came down running. She arranged his room with photos of him with her, their friends, and our family, and put some balloons and was waiting for him with a cake. While my husband entertained her, I called the police and they took her for trespassing private property.
I've been with my boyfriend for about a year and a half. He and his ex share 2 sons, identical twins. And while he absolutely loves those boys, I've noticed that they don't really look like him. When I mentioned it to him, he got really upset because he's always wanted a son and now he has 2. I encouraged him to get a DNA test just to make sure and he refused. So I decided to take matters into my own hands. I went and bought a DNA test from the drugstore. Since he and I live together, the boys come over pretty frequently. One day he left them with me and went to the store. I took that opportunity to swab the inside of their mouths. I then went and bought one of those Ancestry DNA kits, smart, and got my boyfriend's DNA by making him think I was going to use it for the Ancestry test. I instead used it for the paternity test. Well, the results came back and it turns out he is not the father of the twins. I want to tell him, but I know this will devastate him. I also know that he'll be upset with me for doing what I did. What should I do? Was I wrong for getting the answers that he refused to get? I never wanted to take away his kids, but I don't think it's right for him to be a father to children that don't even biologically belong to him.